Hi everyone. Welcome back. This is Brian of Brian's Musings. So today I'm not gonna do anything fancy in terms of introduction. The one I precede and try to introduce the person I'm trying to interview. Today he's gonna do that himself. hmm
Okay. Hi, I'm John. Uh, I'm a dad of two, and I'm from Uganda. That's it.
So the main greeting in Uganda is Ogambachi. Actually, how we met at a certain party. It was a mutual friend,
Yes.
Christine. It was another mixed race couple. So we met there, and Christine had already told me beforehand that there's another friend of hers called John, who's Ugandan, who's coming over to the party. So I'm like, okay, fine. So when John comes in with the family, I go up to him and tell him, Ogambachi. This guy was so excited. He was so excited because he thought I'm Ugandan.
No, seriously, I don't meet a lot of Ugandans, okay, where we were in Ari. So, and I wasn't expect it, honestly. So I got excited. I'm like, who is this Ugandan guy
In the middle of Bangkok.
in the middle of Bangkok? So I really got so excited. But when he started speaking, I'm like, okay, this guy is Kenyan. This is not Uganda.
Yeah.
Because actually, we can pick up the accent, okay, from Kenya. We're like, oh, there is something. But it took me time to actually pick you up. I'm like,
Mm.
okay, but it was good.
I cover my tracks very well. So John usually
Yes.
likes doing podcasts.
Yep.
Um, he has his the banging. He has this podcast called the Shift Podcast. So he's gonna
Yes.
tell us all about the Shift Podcast. And because he does podcasts, today's discussion
Yep.
is not really an interview per se. This is a
Shoot.
podcast.
Shoot.
hmm
Mm.
And we are gonna talk about. He told me to come up with the perfect topic. He's okay with it. He doesn't even know about it at all.
I actually don't know what we're going to talk about, but hope it's not so hard.
This is unscripted.
Yes.
Unscripted, a totally honest discussion
Yes.
about interracial relationships.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's
Uh-huh.
fine. That's fair enough. You tricked me, but that's fair enough.
I tricked you, right? I know I did. I know I did.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
said it's unscripted.
No, that's fair enough. I didn't think about that
hmm
actually, but that's good. That's good.
I would like to hear about your experiences in
Yeah.
terms of raising a kid. No, actually, now you have two kids.
Yep.
Yeah, but when I met you, you had one kid back then. So I want to hear your experiences, how it has been raising a mixed race kid
Mm,
and an Asian kid in Asia,
mm, mm.
and also maybe how else if you've encountered any stereotypes, any. I will give you an example.
Mm,
There was one time we were in Nairobi
mm,
at this mall called the ABC Place. It's in Westlands, Nairobi.
mm,
Bella, my daughter, was
mm,
about she was about 6 months old then.
mm,
I was carrying the baby. The mom was doing the shopping. Then this girl, she was about 11 or 12 years old, walks up to me.
mm,
She says, "That's a very cute baby." I'm like, "Yes, it is."
mm,
Then she's like, "How old is the baby?" Then I
mm.
told the girl, she's about 6 months old. Then what she said next
Mhm.
was totally funny. She's like, "Are you the nanny?"
Okay, that's bad.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
It was purely out of innocence. Purely out of innocence.
Wow.
Because
Wow.
my daughter's skin complexion,
Yes.
nothing close to mine.
Yes.
Yeah. Actually,
Yes.
and
Yes.
this was an innocent young girl, preteen girl. So
Mm.
she was totally innocent in whatever she was saying.
Yes.
So I just laughed. Then I just told her, no, she's not. I'm not the nanny. I'm actually the father. Then she was like, what? Do you mean it? I'm like, yes, I am the father.
Wow.
So back to you.
Yeah, that's a good question. Starting with interracial children and mixed kids, um, I think we're in a different world that only mixed kids can ever understand
hmm
because us, let's say we are the dads, we are African, black African. we go through certain things as us, okay? And if you're African and you're black African and you've traveled around, you go through certain things that you just have to learn that you never actually thought were there. And so our kids are in between. They're not white, right? And they're not black. And for me, coming from school back then, I saw that. I saw how those kids kind of struggled to fit in because we knew they were not black like us.
Mm-hmm.
At school, we knew that. But still, I saw it with our white friends. Of course, but still, they were not like them. You know what I
There's
mean?
a big disconnect.
There was a big disconnect. Okay,
Yeah.
and so if it was to a talk or I play with a mixed kid, I mean, fight. We used to fight a lot. I knew this guy might be strong as black. Okay, so I said I couldn't just attack.
Yeah.
I had to calculate my moves. And then if they were white, your friends would be, he's white, so that gives you confidence. You're gonna beat him up. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sorry I'm using these examples, but that's how I grew up. Okay, I grew up on the streets.
He's
So,
very violent.
but I'm just trying to show you now. For them, they're in between the middle, and as a parent, I think you have to understand that they may not necessarily be black or they may not necessarily be white, but I think I want to give them their own identity as them. That they're a mixture of both, and I don't want it to be that you're this or you're that from my side.
Mm-mm.
And of course, the world will call them black, but us blacks don't see them as blacks. The whites don't see them as whites, but that's how the world is. But I think for me, with an interracial kid, as parents, we have the power now to train them to be individuals, regardless of the stereotypes.
Mm-hmm.
The world is not going to change. It's not going to get any better, for sure. It's not. But as parents, as a parent, I think I train my children to be individuals. That's it. Sometimes I see my blackness coming on so hard on her, and I realize, hey, she's not black, black, okay?
What do you mean your blackness coming
I
out?
mean, you see, the way we're raised as black, no, I don't want to say black people, we're all different. Okay?
Africans.
Africans, and still that's a huge difference, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
But okay, the way I was raised in Uganda as me
Mm-hmm.
is completely different from the way my wife, for instance, was raised in the UK. It's completely different, and you see that, okay? For me, my mom gave you the look, and you knew what that meant, okay? It meant go get your stick, I'm gonna beat you
Yes.
after the visitor goes, okay? I can't do that to my daughter, okay? It sounds radical and evil, but that's how we're raised up, okay? So I have to change the way she gets crazy. I can't give her the look. So that's what I run to. Like,
Well, I give my kids the look.
I know
They know
she gets it, but for me, the look had consequences, okay?
Mhm.
I can give her the look, but I'm going to give her 10 looks. After that, what's next? But the look came with a reward for us.
Yeah.
So you realize that you're torn in between how to parent. And you realize that you keep learning. And for me as a parent, speaking from a parent, I don't think I've nailed it, that this is how I'm going to do it or this is how I should do it. But I think I'm learning. But the mom learning is to let them be individuals
Mm-hmm.
and let them be responsible people,
Yeah.
regardless of how they look.
Learning on the go.
Learning on the go.
So between your wife and you,
Hmm.
who's the disciplinarian?
I think I'm more of a disciplinarian. I think I got that. I just have that discipline naturally. I have the discipline. So it doesn't even come across that I discipline her,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just natural I'm disciplined.
Mm-hmm.
So she knows to wake up, we make the bed, regardless we have a nanny or not. Before we shower, before we sleep, we brush, regardless you're feeling it or not.
Mhm.
So I don't leave options in certain things. And of course, there is always that place of like, she's a kid, she's 3, I understand.
She's
But
learning a lot. Yeah.
I think there is that place of me that's just, you're gonna brush, you like it or not,
Mhm.
and we're not gonna discuss about it. In a nice way, brushing is good for you, so we're gonna do it, okay? So I think the way I translate it could feel like I'm being a disciplinarian, though my wife will still come and do the same thing. And quite, I find it, she does it sometimes easier, and then sometimes they know how to get on the nerves. That I have to come in, we'll be like, okay, we're gonna do it. We're not gonna discuss, okay? We're
Yeah.
just gonna do it.
For me, I usually don't have the patience. Like you said, the way your wife takes control of things is not the same way you take
Yes.
care of things.
Yes.
That's the same way with my wife and I.
Yes.
She'll just approach something so relaxed. And for me, I'm like, don't waste time being relaxed. Just action it. And then we move on. But
Yes.
her
Yes.
approach, she swears by it.
Yes.
I don't want to admit it. It actually does work.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
For me, I think the lack of patience, also like how maybe you put it across, us being Africans and how we were raised is totally
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
The parent gives you this one look and that's it. You know, if you don't do what those eyes have told you, you're gonna get into trouble.
Yes.
And boy, want to be spanked.
I kind of missed that
Oh,
spanking they did, but it
but
was good. It was
we
fun.
did draw the line. We did
Seriously,
draw the line.
seriously, I
Because
think.
some of us, had we not been spanked back
Ah,
then,
man.
oh, we would have been rascals.
I think for me that brought a certain discipline, and you don't have to agree with me because we're in a world that's so
Judgmental.
non-judgmental. They want to be politically correct, and I disagree with that. I get personal on that, where you can't let somebody express themselves because of your beliefs.
Yeah.
Like, for example, somebody's going to listen to this and think we are rude, or why don't you just want to listen to my side before you judge it
Hmm.
by what you think works for you? And for me, that disturbs me. So the spanking, it worked for us. And I proudly say it works. I knew what was running in my head. I
Yeah.
knew it. I knew it. This is gonna be what I cancel things I did because they'll get to know what I did.
Hmm.
But I knew what I used to do.
Yeah.
I knew it, and I knew how but I'm talking about when I was 5. I knew it. But these are in the 90s. Doesn't make sense, but I knew the damage I could do. I knew it.
Hmm.
Oh man, I knew it. I knew what I was doing and on purpose. So for me, I saw that if I wasn't held by a tough rod in a certain way,
Hmm.
I don't think I would have had the discipline that I
No.
have today.
No.
The discipline to be on time, the discipline to be smart, the discipline to just respect an elder, regardless of who you are,
Hmm.
the discipline to just respect a boss,
Yeah.
to just work with people, however much you clash, but just work together. I don't think I would have had that because I knew I could go further and I knew I can. But there was always that I want to be spanked. But I knew if it wasn't for my mom, I would have shown you a level. But
Yeah.
I knew it will have consequences. So for me, I think that brought a certain good discipline, especially from the environment. Things are different in Africa and Europe, and I
Hmm.
understand. We
Yeah.
can, in Europe, if you're spanking everything, those guys seem
You'll get
organized.
into trouble.
You get into trouble. I
Yeah.
mean, you have no reason to spank. I don't know, but as home, go to school. I have a few friends who have told me that there is a cinema, there is a movie. I used to love kung fu movies.
Hmm.
So Bruce Lee could release something, man. Your friends like John, they're showing it at 10.
Yes.
So you have class. So if not for the spanking, I
Hmm.
would go watch that movie.
Yes.
But so it just gave me a certain discipline that I carry on today. That because it's responsibility, I just have to be responsible regardless of how I feel. And that's what I got from that.
Hmm. Yeah. Cool. So where is your wife from? You mentioned. Is she
I
from the UK, like you mentioned earlier on?
Yeah, she is from the UK. She's from the UK. Her mom was from Kenya, white Kenyan, Muzungu. Her dad is from the UK. Yeah.
So how did you guys meet?
We actually met in Bangkok at saxophone.
Ah. Okay.
Yeah. But we're all into music because her dad is really, really into music and she comes from music. And I was really into music even back then. I mean, music has it's been my thing. So by that time, actually, I played in a band and then I wasn't playing a saxophone.
Hmm.
But when she told me when I told her saxophone, she was like, cool with it. I'm like, okay. She has some class. She likes jazz music. And the first day just hit on. But the funny part about the first day was she was so black. I mean, by culture than me.
Hmm.
So she was talking about stuff like kids walk to school and stuff. I was driven to school, okay?
Oh,
Kids,
fancy boy.
kids. So she had this side I didn't know about. And we had to always just
Hmm.
correct. Like, okay, I wasn't raised like this. I've never seen this. It's something I'm learning from you.
Uh-huh.
So I think the beautiful part about it is that even she speaks more Swahili than I do. So when you go to Kenya, everybody speaks Swahili because they see you with a Mzungu wife and they think they're gonna, get something. And then she flips in Swahili and I'm like, I don't speak Swahili, okay? And they're like, you're from Uganda. I'm like,
Yeah. So,
yes,
like when you go to Kenya, what is
yes.
the biggest stereotype people had towards you and your
Um,
wife?
and thankfully, my family has grown up around foreigners. We've been all over, so
Yeah.
we don't have that. We've grown up seeing white people come home. We've grown up seeing people from all over the world. So we know that just because somebody's of a different color doesn't make them any different. So we've grown up knowing that.
Yeah.
So there is not much expectation of, honestly, I've not had that from my family. Yeah, when I travel in Uganda, Uganda is tricky. I actually can't really look for that one place because it's not like normal, but you know, we just have like a funny thing about somehow we've not been brainwashed. We know to the max that just because somebody's from a different color doesn't make them any special somehow. So that doesn't make you any special in any way. Of course, you may both think that's cool, but
Yeah.
yeah, there'll be that, but the majority don't think you're any special at all, or they don't treat you in any special way. They don't think that you're there for the money. I mean, we've got a few little boys in Uganda who have the money. So if you're not that, you're not it, regardless of who your wife is. Yes, I think for me that's my perspective that I've had, especially because we traveled around, and people were nice. Then I was the one who was having the guards, because being a foreigner and I've traveled around, I saw people just kind of want to just take. But when I was with my wife, people were nice, and of course, not because she's a foreigner, but we weren't trying to discuss money.
Yeah.
And actually happened one, we went to this tourist spot and
Country?
in my country, and they wanted to triple the entry. I lost it. And in our country, how it works, you don't just touch people. You don't know who you're touching. And that's how the system is. So I think that I kind of lost it and we sorted it. But it just happened because they saw that my wife was white and I had another kid who never seemed to be Ugandan, yet she's Ugandan by passport. So she touched a long button and I educated her. I'm like, you lose that job next morning. Don't just do that.
Yeah. So that's it for today. I think we're gonna have a part two. This was just a warm up. Thank you, John.
Yeah. Welcome.
See you on
Thank
part
for
two.
having me. You're welcome.